Hello colleagues. I just thought I'd put this video together really to help provide an overview of kind of key themes and focuses of the December workshop. I'd planned to do something like this when we started the new programme, largely because I know how busy people are, and although you should do all of the reading, I know there's not always the chance to do this, so I just thought a video would be useful, just as a kind of summary of where we're coming from. So I'm going to do this whilst looking at the outline, so forgive me if I'm not always looking at the camera. Also, adventurously, what I'm going to do is start this in Oxford and then finish it off when I'm with colleagues at Empire State College, because I've got to dash in a minute. But in essence, when you look at the programme, what we're trying to do really is unpick those key challenges that come out of major changes in society, particularly around advancing forms of globalisation and the particularly acute impacts of neoliberalism as well. So when you look at the first day on the 12th, I'm looking at globalisation and neoliberalism, particularly in the UK context, and using the book Trade Unions in a Neoliberal World from McElroy and Daniels to really explore neoliberalism under New Labour and its implications for trade unions around things like developments in employment and labour law as well. John will join us from Birkbeck after the break, and he's particularly going to be looking at changing or shifting power resources, particularly, well, what he means by that is diminishing power on the part of trade unions, for example, but it's obviously a bit more advanced than that. But in essence, what has globalisation and neoliberalism meant for the approach that unions adopt when attempting to use power or enforce workers' rights? Rebecca will join us in the evening, and she wants to give an overview of the key themes from her last book with Richard Hyman, Trade Unions in Western Europe, Hard Times, Hard Choices, which is a good book. We've got it in the library, which introduces industrial relations patterns and structures across Western Europe, but as the name suggests, explores key changes across Western Europe over the past 30 years. And then, as I've said in the note that I've sent to you, the seminar session is Hooks and Ledwith, the two groups, and there's a number of questions in the workshop outline that you've got to pick from and present to the group, leaving time for Q&A. So day one really is that fundamental focus on what we mean by globalisation and neoliberalism from the context of organised labour. Particular focus on the UK, but there are, when you look at the reading, there's plenty there that's internationally comparative, and what we're trying to unpick is what exactly have those two phenomena meant for unions. So for example, there's a piece of reading there from my session which is about the implications for conflict in the workplace and industrial action, for example, the implications for labour conflict arising from globalisation. So that's day one, and what I'll do is I'll do another part of this video when I'm in New York from tomorrow. Okay, thanks. Okay, folks, I'm going to talk about day two. I'm in somewhere slightly different this time on the way to New York. I'm stuck in Madrid for a little while, waiting for my connecting flight. So here's day two, different part of the world. What you'd expect on an MA with an international focus. Just in terms of day two, when you look at the first part of that, that's me with a focus on labour markets. I suppose why you'd ask why labour markets? Well, first of all, particularly in terms of formal economies like those in the UK, North America, Western Europe, they're incredibly complex for a variety of reasons, and some of those reasons we're going to uncover both through the reading you've got but also the teaching that morning. Complexity based on demographic change, complexity based, for example, on migration. Those will be just two of the issues that I'll be talking about and is reflected in the reading. So for example, in the reading there's a piece of research from a colleague of mine, Sheila Barrett at Greenwich, which comes from a project that I was involved in with my old employer, the General Federation of Trade Unions, which was a project to do with enabling trade union reps to have the skills and knowledge to bargain on behalf of working carers. You'll also see in the reading a dissertation of Ben Egan on trade union responses in the UK and Italy to undocumented migrants, and some other material there around organising migrant workers. So in the morning it's a kind of technical understanding of what we mean by labour markets, but then unpicking the complexity of them as a form of labour supply but in particular the challenges that trade unions face organising within increasingly complex forms of labour supply in informal economies. After the break, it's Fenella and Saranel Benjamin from War on Want looking at labour supply in informal economies, particularly from the perspective of gender and the role of women. And you'll see in the workshop outline there are 3 issues, topics that they're talking around based on their own significant experiences, researchers and activists in the field, and also a bit like the morning session, talking about issues of organising informal workers in informal economies. Have a read of those, have a read of the reading material if you can, please, because that'll really help the discussion. Saturday afternoon, Critical Labour Studies Symposium, prepared to discuss issues around research methods, will be led by the full-time MA students on their research proposals and the BA 2010 cohort that I manage and their research proposal as well. More information about the focus for that afternoon will come as soon as possible. And then in the evening on Saturday, a kind of early Christmas do. Bring your glad rags. For Matt, I think that probably means his flares, and for Lisa that might mean dressing up as she did in that photo, although hope not. If she does, I'm sure it'll look fantastic. Okay, I'll do day 2 when I'm somewhere else.
Hopefully you can hear me. I was just thinking actually this is probably the most appropriate place to do the 3rd day's outline. In America, in Times Square, a session on the rise of new technology, its impact on work and workers and trade unions. I have to confess though, this isn't my specialism. It was Mark Everton's idea to put this session into the MA. So what I'd encourage you to do is definitely do the reading for this session and have a look at the outline that's in the workshop outline that I've written. I think the key focus really is how has technology's impact on the way that work's done. As an implication of that, what's been the implication for work and workers as well. Certainly when we look at issues to do with what we refer to as the intensification of work, technology has a significant impact on the pace of work, on the psychology of work as well. So I look forward to your feedback on that particular session. What I want to do though after Mark's session's finished is do 3 things. Let me just remind myself of what those are. Finish off the introductions, find out who's in the course, just in case we're not quite sure. I want to do feedback on the induction task. There's some really good work in terms of that particular task, and I want to do some overall feedback on relative strengths and weaknesses. And that feeds into the very last thing, which is as postgraduate students, 2 of the key things that you need to be developing the skills of is critical analysis, so how to engage with existing theory and knowledge in the field, and theoretical engagement, how to actually develop new theory, new knowledge, new understanding of issues within the ILTUS field. So it'll be a really good weekend. So goodbye from New York, one last scene where I am, and then I'll see you December weekend. Bye-bye.